quit my teaching job and moved with nothing lined up and started my venture into this entrepreneurship journey. Everyone thought I was crazy. No one could understand, no one could understand why I was quitting my job, why I was moving. But what they didn't realize was, yes, on the surface, it looked like I had it all together, but inside, I was dying. I wasn't happy where I was living. I wasn't happy where I was working. And what I had realized was I had outgrown where I had lived.
Today's guest is Michelle Burke, international best-selling author, a global inspiration, transforming chaos into magic as the international best-selling author of Hot Mess Magic. She empowers individuals to find extraordinary potential within their everyday struggles. With her captivating Hot Mess Magic show and dynamic speaking engagements, Michelle ignites transformation and celebrates the brilliance hidden in life's imperfections, as she has the gift to discover the magic in the mess. Welcome, Michelle.
Welcome, Anita. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to hear all about this. I love the title, Hot Mess Magic.
Yeah, so Hot Mess Magic was actually a title that came to me back in 2018. I was at a retreat having dinner with a Facebook friend. It was the first time we had met, and she was talking, and all of a sudden I said, I don't mean to be rude, but I need to cut you off for a second. And I grabbed my phone, I opened up notes, and I wrote down 3 little words. And those 3 little words were Hot Mess Magic. And I said to her, I was like, I don't know what these words mean. I don't know what these words are, but I know that there's something. And the next day was the last day of the retreat, the conference. And I'm sitting there, and the tagline, "Discover the magic in your mess," comes to me. And I'm doing a little dance in my chair, and a friend of mine across the room is texting me going, what the heck is going on over there? And I was like, Hot Mess Magic is the title of my book. Discover the magic in your mess is my tagline. And ironically, the last person to speak that day was a publisher. I walked right up to her at the end, and I pitched her right there on the spot. And she said to me, I normally don't have people hit a home run with their title, their first tryout. She's like, you just hit a home run.
Wow. And you can tell me all about that in a moment. And I'm so excited. Wow. I love the analogy, the home run.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is one of the most courageous things you have done, Michelle?
I mean, so many, but I guess one of the most courageous things that I've done is, I quit my teaching job and moved with nothing lined up and started my venture into this entrepreneurship journey. Everyone thought I was crazy. No one could understand, no one could understand why I was quitting my job, why I was moving. But what they didn't realize was, yes, on the surface, it looked like I had it all together, but inside, I was dying. I wasn't happy where I was living. I wasn't happy where I was working. And what I had realized was I had outgrown where I had lived. And that was where I made my dream of living at the beach a reality. And yes, it was a struggle in and of itself to make it happen. I had a place and had something. I had a place and then had it fall through 3 weeks before I was supposed to move.
Wow.
Yes. Ended up having to do the roommate thing for the first time since college, because it was the only thing I could find, in that moment. Oh, and did end up, finding a job, and then did take a maternity leave replacement for, that school year, while, starting and building, my first business, which was actually within network marketing.
Wow. So yeah, tell me how your journey started in becoming an international best-selling author.
Like I said, that title, came to me at
Mm.
that, workshop conference in, 2018, and pitched the publisher right there on the spot. And she said, well, once we get back to our home states, let's connect. And I connected with her, and what she had offered me, to work with me, was just something at that time that was out of my budget. And I said to her, I am totally on board. However, my bank account isn't. We need to put this on hold. And it was then that I went through some of the darkest, messiest moments within my life. And it was like, okay, now I understand why I had to put this on hold. I had to go through that hot mess in order to then write about that hot mess. And even writing the book became a hot mess in and of itself, which I share in the book. But I did work with, inspirational book writers. They're based out of Australia. I worked with them in writing my book, publishing, editing, the whole nine yards. And they're the ones who helped me achieve that, international bestseller status, because they're based in Australia. I'm based in the US. So they've got that big Australia market, and we're able to have me receive, this great, achievement.
So tell me more about you, because you talk about finding the brilliance hidden in your imperfections. What does that mean?
So I view it as, each and every one of us are a hot mess, whether we want to admit it or not. And when we're in those messy moments in life, that's when we learn, we grow, we expand. And that's
Yes.
where the brilliance lies. That's where the magic lies. We might not see it in that moment. Of course, we're not going to see it when, the tears are streaming down our faces and we're screaming why and all the obscenities. Or,
Absolutely.
or sitting there with, on the couch with the pint of ice cream, and cookies, like just emotionally eating, trying to self-soothe, which there's nothing the matter with that, because it's part of our process in just being human and navigating through this stuff. But it's when we have made it through and we sit there and we go, you know what? That totally sucked. However, this is what I learned from it. This is how I grew from it. This is who I had to let go of in order to become this next version of myself.
Wow. And that's painful, but it's working through the mess, like you say.
Exactly. And we're not, most of the time, we don't see the magic when we're going through it. We don't see that brilliance because we're in it. And I have this ability where while you're in the hurricane, I'm standing in the eye. And I can just see everything that's happening around you and can see as to how you're going to make it through. And
So
that everything's going to be okay. It might not seem like it in that moment. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it's like everything is going to be okay. We are all stronger than we give ourselves credit for.
yeah, especially like being in that moment. We've got imperfections. Everyone does, but we all have a mask. We've all got this identity we hide behind.
Yes.
So tell me more about that. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So, yes, we all have these facades that we hide behind. And most of them are due to the fact of how we're raised. How we're raised, conditioned. But other aspects of hiding behind this mask have to do with guilt and shame, where when we're going through something, we don't necessarily want to admit that, our car has just been repossessed, or that we're struggling financially, or that, our relationship doesn't look as stable and healthy and happy, as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't want to burden others, because we know everyone's going through something. And
For sure.
two, we have all this guilt and shame that's coming up. But one of the things that I have learned is that it's these vulnerable moments that unite us. And when we can step back and let that guilt and shame go, and one of the greatest ways to be able to let that guilt and shame go is to have your people, to have those people that are going to hold the space for you, just to talk, just to
Mm-hmm.
let it all out, let it all go, to help you then process it, because we have a tendency to keep it all bottled up inside. And when we can
Yeah.
drop that, when we can drop that facade that everything's okay and just spill it, we feel better.
Yes, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's about actually having that compassion for oneself to start with,
Yes.
and to be able to admit, yeah, I'm actually going through this and there is no shame in it.
Exactly. Because when we're going through something, we feel as if we're the only person on the
Mm.
planet who is going through this issue at this time. When in actuality, we're not. Like, we know that we're
Mm-hmm.
not, but it's what it feels like. I know when I had my car repossessed, uh, I had all this guilt and shame that had come up. My family was not helping the matter in any way, shape, or form. But it wasn't until I had several friends and a mentor that I was working with say, "Oh, yeah, I've had a car repossessed. Oh, yeah, I've had a car repossessed. Oh, yeah, I've been there. I've gone through that." That it started to normalize it. It started to make me feel better. And I always say that, you know, TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, the National
Yeah.
Enquirer, they wouldn't exist without the messy moments,
Mm,
because
definitely.
that breakup that celebrity is going through is what is normalizing them, because we have no idea what it's like to
Mm.
sign a $20 million movie contract or to have a $40 million concert tour. But we all know what it's like to go through a breakup.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is, it's like, as in a way, it's like they're making it, normalizing it, or they're making it, it's okay because they're supposed to be the untouchable ones, but if they're going through it, so we can go through it. I mean,
Exactly. No one is
mm, mm,
untouchable. We're
mhm,
all human. We're all
mhm,
living this journey in this skin suit, having this
mm.
human experience.
And then it is about having that resilience of coming back from it as well, and the mindset. Talk
Yes.
more about that.
So yeah, it's having that, like you said, having that resiliency,
Mm,
having that
mm,
mindset, and sitting there and saying to yourself, "I'm okay."
mm,
Even just those simple words of "I'm okay," or even though things are not okay now, they're going to get better. Remembering that self-talk. In 2022, I unexpectedly lost my dad, and then 3 weeks later lost my
mm.
grandma. And
Sorry.
thank you. And I had a friend, after I had lost my dad, send me a text. I was walking down the stairs when the text came in, and she said, "How are you doing?" And I stopped on the stairs and I looked at my phone. And the first thing that came to my mind was, remember your self talk. Because I very easily could have said to her, "I'm a mess. I'm hysterical. I'm living on ice cream and whiskey right now." But I paused and I took that moment and I said to her, "I'm riding the wave. I'm honoring my feelings and I'm riding the wave." And that became my mantra for a whole year. I'm
Mm,
riding the wave, because each and every day, that's what we're doing. We're riding the wave. We're riding those emotions that are coming to us. We're the emotions, the stress, the feelings, we're riding them. And sometimes they're going to knock us down and have us tossing and tumbling, and we're not going to be able to breathe. Like, where's the surface? Where's the surface? I can't breathe. Then we're going to have others where we're going to hop on that wave and we're going to ride it straight into the shore and be all pumped, all excited, like, oh yeah, I got this. And that's what it's all about. It's riding that wave and knowing that, yeah, sometimes we're going to get knocked down. And it's okay when we get knocked down to take that moment to pause before
Definitely. I
we,
love the analogy.
before we paddle back out there to face, to face what's out there, because life kind of is like the ocean, because you never know what you're going to get out of life. You never know what the ocean's going to bring you.
Definitely. Definitely. And it's absolutely, there's the resilience coming back from it, coming back.
And not, the other thing is not letting those things define you. They're just a part of your journey. Yep. I've had my car repossessed, part of my journey. Yes, I have, lost a parent already, part of my journey. We've all been through things in life that are just part of our journey, and we can allow them to be those things that we move forward from, or we can allow them to be those things that define us. But when we let them define us, it keeps us in this victim mindset, where when we say, all right, I've accepted this, it's it's part of my life, it's part of my journey, it doesn't define who I am, we can then move forward.
For sure, definitely. And the thing is, it's like you say, it is acceptance and part of your journey. And the thing is, it's about not putting so much meaning onto it as well.
Yes.
It's when you
like,
start,
we all have, I'm just going to use money because it's something that we can all relate to. It's like, we all have financial issues, in a money story, whether you have $1 in your bank account or $1 billion in your bank account. But someone who has $1 billion in their bank account necessarily isn't a kind-hearted, compassionate, loving individual. Just like someone who has $1 in their bank account isn't necessarily, a drug addict, low life, doesn't know what they're doing with their life. We can't let these things define us. It's like, yes, you're maybe going through something financial right now, but that doesn't define who you are as a person. Our bank accounts don't reflect us. I mean, if our credit score was a judgment of an individual, let's look at the national debt of any single country in the world has a credit score that's in the negatives.
Absolutely.
We can't let that define who we are as an individual, just like we can't let that credit score of a country define who the individuals of that country are.
Definitely.
So it's knowing that what's inside is what matters. It's not the external things.
Absolutely. So tell me about your book, Hot Mess Magic. I just love that title.
So in the book, like home run, in the book, I go through and I share a bunch of my messy moments within pretty much all areas of life. So within, relationship, within finance, within, career, within, relationships. When I share those messy moments and I share, not only how I got into them, which a lot of it goes back to our programming, our conditioning, our belief systems, but how I navigated through it and some of the tools that I used. Because one of the things that I always say is I want to know how that person got from that low point in life to where they are now. Like we know that, and that in between, like we know, like someone like Tony Robbins, we know he took, he was down to his last few dollars and now look at where he is. I want to know his story in the middle. I want to know the tools and the resources he used in the middle as he was building himself to who he is today. And that's why it's so important for me to share the tools that I used to help me get to where I am, today. And journaling, meditation, somatic work, they're all huge in helping you navigate through.
So, like, who do you help in your work? Tell me more about your work you're doing right now.
So, the individuals that I help are those who are looking for that emotional resiliency, who are going through something, or who are sitting there and are sick and tired of being sick and tired as to, why can't I get past this? Why can't I move through this? Why is this still happening to me? To sit there and work with them in regards to navigating through it. I guide you through those messy moments. I help you find that emotional resiliency and the strength to get through what it is you're going through, and also to help you change your perspective as to what it is you're going through. Because it might seem like the end of the world,
Yes.
but it isn't. And that's where I act as that guide, and also sometimes that tough love cheerleader, in holding that space for you to let it all out. And then I'm going to give it right back to you as to, all right, here's what I see. Because we're all our worst enemy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all our worst enemy. And sometimes we just need that person who's going to call us out on our BS. And
Definitely.
that's one of the things that I do, is I call you out on that BS. But in the process, it builds that resiliency.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yes. Thank you.
So what is one of the most important lessons you have learned over your life so far?
One of the most important lessons that I have learned is surrendering isn't giving up. Surrendering isn't waving the little white flag like so many of us think it is. I look at surrendering as you're giving it to a higher power. You're saying, I can't handle this anymore, and I'm giving it up to you. Just like if you're building a dresser from IKEA and you're like, I can't figure this out, and someone walks in the room and you're like, hey, can you help me with this? Like, I'm done. Can you help me with this? Same concept. You're done and you're handing it over to a higher power. You're surrendering it to a higher power. You're saying, I can't do this on my own anymore. Help.
Brilliant. Yes. What resources do you recommend, tools, daily steps, to anyone that wants to start finding potential in their everyday struggles?
Journaling. Journaling, in the essence of, so many people say, I can't journal. I don't like journaling. Brain dump. Take all those thoughts, take everything that's going through your head and verbal vomit it all over the paper. Get it all out of your system, because it's not doing any good in your system. It's wreaking havoc within your body. So get it out on paper. And that's one of the first things to do. Start every night brain dumping, because this way it gets rid of all the monkey mind, all the chatter as you're going to bed, because you've gotten it all out of your system. The other thing is to start expressing more gratitude, and not only gratitude for the good stuff, but gratitude for the not so good stuff. Because we can't see the gift in it just yet, but expressing the gratitude for it, as to, I'm grateful for, this breakup. Don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm grateful for it. I am grateful for these financial struggles right now. And I know it sounds crazy, but when we express that gratitude for it, we're acknowledging it, we're accepting it. And that's one of the keys to moving forward, is acknowledging it and accepting it. You're not going to get more of the negative. You're going to get more of the good now because you've acknowledged it, you've accepted it. It's gone from your unconscious mind to your conscious mind. You've recognized it, you've released it, and now you can move forward from it.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love that.
My podcast, which is getting ready to debut. It's debuting the beginning of September, of the same name, on the Hot Mess Magic Show, where within it, I'm having guests come on and share some of their hot mess moments, how they got into them, what they learned from them, how they grew from them, the tools and the modalities that they used. Guests also coming on and just sharing their expertise, the tools that they use and tools that they teach others to use to navigate through life and those stressful moments. And then myself sharing more of my story and my journey, because got to keep it real and share my own stuff.
Yes.
And that's what I believe in, keeping it real, raw, and honest, because we live in a world that is so highlight reel, that let's dismiss the highlight reel and get to actual life. Not that the highlight reel isn't real life, but we have more, at times, more low points in life than we do the highs.
Definitely.
Yet we can find a high if we look for it in every single day.
Brilliant. Absolutely. And I look forward to your podcast coming out. And obviously, when you get the links and you're ready to share, I can put it in the show notes.
Okay, awesome.
And that's
Thank you.
brilliant. Where can the listeners find you online, your books, Michelle?
So my book is on Amazon. Just type Hot Mess Magic, discover the magic in your mess in the search, and it'll come right up. Instagram, you can find me at hot_mess_magic. And those would be the two places. And then email Michelle at michelleaburke.com, Michelle with 2 L's, to if you wanted to connect, work with me, grab other tools, resources, I'm here to help.
That's brilliant. And I'll put the links in the show notes. So thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others make a difference. I'd really like to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Michelle
Thank you
Burke.
for having me.
My pleasure. And my final question to you is, because we are all about Create the Courage to Be Fearless podcast here, what is your definition of courage?
Oh, my definition of courage would be someone who faces the fear. It's like you standing there facing whatever it might be. And yeah, you might be unsure, uncertain, scared, but you're going to do it anyway. It's taking that leap of faith and knowing that you are supported and guided through whatever it is, you're courageously taking that leap of faith on.